Welcome back to the glorious mess. I'm Raymond, and I'm here with my favorites, Bronwynn and Taylor. Unfortunately, we're back to virtual because we don't live in the same city, but we're still here. We're still queer, and we're still talking shit. Uh,
Yeah.
Today, we're talking about the very reality that most of you are probably dealing with right now, ourselves included, obviously, that the stress that creeps in the fall season. It's a time of change, especially if you were raised, in Canada or a lot of colonial areas. There's this 9 to 5 school that you were raised in, and so much of your life revolves around September really being the start of things. And so we're going to talk about the complexities of that. And speaking of back to school, I thought we'd check in with a question of what was your favorite back to school activity as a kid?
Trying to convince my parents that I need new school supplies. I would start beginning of August and I would slowly, but my dad was a principal, so he had his hands on a lot of school supplies all the time, and then a lot of the time I wouldn't treat it well. And so it would be like every couple years I would be allowed to get some new school supplies, but wasn't very often. But that would be, new school supplies was very exciting. Or I used to get one pair of back to school shoes. So shopping,
Yes.
consumerism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if I love September as a month generally. So I really loved everything about going back to school, minus the actual school part for any of that. So I don't really have a favorite back to school activity or favorite memory from that. I can't really remember much, but that whole just the whole energy of coming back to school and picking out your classes and getting your schedule and doing the lockers and all of that stuff.
routine.
I had a good time. My organizer brain was like, yeah, this is fun. And then I got tired.
Very quick. No, that's me too. I think the biggest, I think more consumerist kind of stuff was I loved getting the new clothes. And so actually in back to school here, I went to a vintage store named Raymond. And so I found a cute top and a nice bag for me to take to my first day of school today. So that was actually very exciting. That was my favorite thing as a kid, was just getting new clothes and new outfits. I was a big Adidas kind of shoe wearer and the big cool ones. And then I used to always wear tearaways and baby blue. That was that's how you may not imagine that I am black by this skin tone, but my wardrobe style stereotypically, don't come for me if you're that's offensive. I don't mean it that way.
I mean, you had baby blue tearaways. You can't
Say
get
less.
any more. Yeah,
where's the bandana, the do-rag?
Yeah,
yeah.
Don't
And
or
bald.
it's yes.
Especially bald. And then obviously we had the black hairdresser. So obviously this widow's peak, there's not I don't know, it was what we would do is we would cut it clean, and it would just be clean because black barbers are very clean lines.
We like our edges and our lines. Yeah,
exactly. But I don't have black hair obviously, so it was always it also looked a little funky on me, but I was yeah, I'm fitting in with my foster fam, this is the thing. Or yeah, it was always a thing, bald hair. But I think
I need a photo.
Yeah, I will get you. Oh my god. I'm gonna send y'all a photo. There's a good one of me in Echo, I think. I think it was Echo.
I need this photo.
Let's send we have a new social media manager. They're amazing. So let's send a back to school photo to them and they can post it with this episode.
Oh
yeah.
No.
Oh yeah.
Yes. That's the plan. I love it. And so with back to school, with back to work, back to life, post summer, all of that fun shit that the fall brings, and change of season too, things can be, quite stressful. And so, of course, our new segment, Fast Facts, is about to begin with each of us. So, Fast Facts this week. I don't start the Fast Facts. Bronwynn, you get the first Fast Fact this week.
Yes. Oh my God. So, first of all, new change of season. So marks a big transition from summer's like free lack of schedule for some, and then goes into fall, which is like more structure and demands of school or work or programs starting. So that's, I feel that shift a lot. I think it can be a stressful time.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
also can trigger anxiety or feelings of pressure or reflection on like, did I do enough in the summer? I think there's like this pressure to feel like, oh, in the summer it's to recharge and like, and then I don't know, for me, fall comes. I'm like, damn, I'm still tired. I'm still anxious. I'm still burnt out. Fuck. But at least I got some sunshine.
Sunshine.
Yeah. Well, and honest sunshine, like so like my little fast fact is like a twofer. As we come into fall and as we get also later into winter, our days are getting shorter. We still get 24 hours out of a day, but what we deem as our day and what we deem as our night becomes shorter and the nights become a little longer. And so what we need to accomplish within a day is now put into this pressure cooker of like, when it's 9 p.m. and it's still sunlight out, you feel like you have a whole 18-hour day to accomplish all the things that you want, especially during summer where there's not much all that we have to accomplish. And it's sunny, it's great, we're all getting that vitamin D. And then all of a sudden fall and winter comes around and now our days are 8 hours
3
long,
p.m.
but we still yeah. And now we have now it's like dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but we still have a whole day to get through and all of these things. So like now fall comes around and we're in this like pressure cooker of like, fuck, got shit
I'm
to
not
do.
ready. I'm not
Yeah.
ready.
Right? And
I'm
that's the thing.
Sad. Seasonal
sad.
depression.
Yes. We lose that sun. We
Yeah,
lose that
right?
sun and we all get real fucking depressed. Well, more
What a
depressed.
what a joke. Like whoever was like, what should we call this disorder?
Literally.
Sad. And I think too,
I'm
like
not
there's
sad
this
enough. God damn.
there's a push to like be productive, and you've got all these sorts of plans that surround this and goal setting. And so all this I think, adds layers of stress depending on how we process that, and this expectation we have on ourselves to be the same person we've been, not recognizing that we are beings in an interconnected world with the lands, with the seasons, and with this, we're impacted by it, and that's normal. And so we have to, instead of trying to say, okay, I need to be the same person I was, and what's wrong with me, shifting the perspective of the seasons are changing and I too can change. So how am I going to take care of myself now? And this season is, I think, an important place to even begin as we go into this. And so let's dive deep. Let's dive deep into how these seasonal shifts can affect us personally and some of the things that we can do about it. So, question 1 pour toi, pour mon amis, mes amis. How does the transition from summer to fall impact your mental and emotional wellness?
I'm never ready for it.
Mm.
Like ever. I like it takes me so long to adjust to like the fact that like it is summertime and that I, get to do summer activities and then it's like over and then I have to like I'm excited to go back to fall, yes, for all the things that happen around fall, but like mentally, physically, like emotionally, like I'm not actually ready for that crash to come and for it to get colder and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm now in molasses having to like move to this like starting line that is just the starting line. But it's fine.
I get some like, I think like mentally, I found in later years, I find the sun and the heat to be a bit too overstimulating actually. So like, as y'all know, I always have my ACs running, and then I'm also guilty because I'm like, oh, am I contributing to further problems with this world? But I also need to survive the now. But so there's a part of my mental health, I think, that enjoys the coolness. I feel really comfortable, like my skin feels cozy in long sleeves and covered up in baggy things that I don't get to enjoy as much in the summer because I'm so warm. So mentally, I feel good. And then also I feel a bit of the structure of having something to do that's important to me, especially because I love my school program. That also, like knowing I have these things to do and get to each day and a bit of structure, I find that eases my anxiety for sure. And then I think but the other end of that too is sometimes though with the lack of sunlight, I definitely lose some motivation and find that I have to just kind of find different ways to ground myself that I wouldn't. So if I want to go for a mental health walk, now I can still do that going into the fall, but especially in Montreal, like I know that soon I'm not going to be able to just go for a walk without putting on like 17 layers, and it's not,
Yeah.
and it's like frigid cold, right? So it comes with like the two edges of the same coin, question mark.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. I like when I can wear like a t-shirt and pants and a light jacket. I like layers for sure. But I also find the fall's good, and then as it shifts to winter, that's when I really, really struggle. Fall, I find that in the summer, I sometimes feel like I lose lack of purpose. And so
Mm,
I'm noticing in the last later years, my mental health shifts for sure in the summer. There's like a sweet spot in August where I start to kind of be like, am I happy? Am I doing enough? Because I don't have this like busy working thing to like fuel my
Right.
self-worth. So I
mhm,
noticed that I'm like more susceptible to like negative self-talk or feeling like I'm not doing enough. And then I get back to somewhat of a routine. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm actually doing better than I thought.
mhm.
So I'm
Yeah.
this, but I also hate too much structure. So
Yeah.
I'm like
Yep.
finding there's a sweet spot for sure. And I think like what I've also realized is like I'm a sprinter. So I like to be really busy for like 2 months and then I need some recuperation of like freedom time and then I need to come back in. So
Mhm,
with fall and the days getting shorter as well, I I have to also remember that like just like how the seasons change, the fall is kind of like this shedding of different things. The winter is everything underground, kind of like we've planted seeds, it's regrowing, and then spring is new growth coming up. And I try and put the same kind of expectations on myself
mhm,
as the season. So like going into fall, I'm like, okay, what has been working, what hasn't been working, what are some new intentions or goals that I want to do, and I try and shift it to be more of a
Like a pruning
grounding
season.
process. Yeah, a grounding season versus
mhm.
being like trying to amp up and get busier. So I try and even though that's what I'm actually doing, but I'm
Yeah.
trying like but it's cool. It's fine. It's chill.
And it's beautiful how you're saying it's like you're kind of likening and humbling your humanity to being just a living plant thing, animal thing on
Yeah.
this land, right? If you're like really recognizing that we are so interconnected, we are affected by the fact that our weather changes are shifting really quickly, and that is another layer of both anxiety but also a point of sometimes I find a little bit of hope in that, just that like in that I know we're a resilient species that we can adapt, but it's going to be uncomfortable. But we're not
Yeah.
trained in our society to really sit with discomfort. We see discomfort as
Negative.
danger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as danger, which then triggers that fight or flight or freeze kind of response, and then we kind of live from that place. So either we completely dissociate and neglect all connection to our body and keep going through the hell, or we like come back and we become conscious of it. But by becoming mindful, it's not so much about just feeling good; it's more about being content with discomfort and
Yeah.
getting through that,
Yeah.
which is a missing it's a missing I think a missing part of fall like it's only I think this September going like being sober into the summer of like oh wow this is a lot of stuff and you all know like and those listening like I took a break oh no maybe I didn't take as I took a break from the industry so like no more taking self tapes and things like that and I took a lot of things off my plate to really focus in and enjoy school and so just school alone I'm like oh hey whoa this is a lot for the I think the first time ever. But I didn't realize so many Septembers I just entered numbly, just like back to work.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, everything's back. We're back on. Let's go, go, go.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa, whoa,
Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa.
And so you're doing everything from a sense of like surface. You're just trying to like check mark
Yeah.
doing the thing without actually like absorbing a lot. And I find that I think we just did an amazing teacher training for Bluminesque, and we actually were focusing a lot on burnout and emotional burnout, and how there's like the differences between like physical burnout and emotional burnout. And I kind of had a light bulb moment where with my autoimmune disorder, every time that I'm feeling fatigue, I just kind of chalk it up to like, oh, that's just what it is. But learning about emotional burnout is so much of the same stuff. It's like uh apathy, lack of feeling of self-worth, feeling like you're just kind of going through the motions. There's this feeling of like disassociation or fatigue even in your physical body, or and lack of being able to make decisions, like you're not quite sure. There's lack of intuition. And it was just made me reflect a lot, because I've been feeling that a lot this summer. And normally I feel this in the winter because of the like darkness and the closing in, but to be feeling that way already, it's made me realize that I haven't slowed down enough to be present in feeling that. I've kind of been like, oh, it's my autoimmune disorder, and like keep going. And then
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you're like, shit, it's the end of August. I feel like I don't remember anything that I did this summer, not in my bones, not in my spirit. It just all kind of been flying by. And now we're gonna start again in the fall. So it's just, yeah, I'm like trying to like I said, go back into like the seasons of things and be really present. And like, am I uncomfortable with the darkness in closing in as the season change? Like, cool, that's a feeling. And just sitting with it. Stop trying to like feel awesome and high energy all the time. It's not plausible, and it's not realistic, really.
And so what ways do you think, I'm taking your question from you, but like what role
Yeah.
do you think that like society or like others kind of play in contributing to that fall stress?
I mean, capitalism in general, it's this hurry up, and fucking, success is measured by productivity,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah.
you're not trying hard enough if you're not busy, if you're not working overtime, if you're not grinding. It's hustle culture.
That,
Right?
and
And
it's
you know,
also like really like publicized. Like if it's not publicized, like if you're not always out there in people's, not like in people's faces,
Showing that you're
like,
hustling.
yeah, like, and or even just like high, like there's this high energy, high volume of like talking to a lot of people, doing a lot of things, like being really public, being really present, doing like doing as this massive stressor, instead of like also honoring the people who can still do, but like, like I was saying earlier, like pruning, like, maybe taking away, maybe saying no to some things, like maybe coming in a little bit earlier, maybe not always being so public, or not always like taking on all these jobs, or blah blah, or even just making it known that you are taking out all these jobs or doing all these things. Like there's like so much communication, so much like interactions. Like I think in society, like especially around September and October, it seems to be like, especially coming off of summer, I almost feel like people don't want to socially end, and so it's still a period of time that's really social, whatever it is that you're doing, and
and
that's hard.
new relationships, right? Like,
Cuffing season.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it feels like
yeah.
we enter still such a really social era, which is really hard for a time like seasonally and weather-wise, where this is probably the time where a lot of us really actually want to be alone, and want to not be alone, but like, shed a bit more, or like actually be more intentional with things, and should be a bit more intentional with things. And yet this is the time that we throw everything to the wall and see what sticks, you know?
And trying it too and being open. Like, I think for me, I spent like a lot of alone time this summer and like chopped so much. And I think when we're talking about like trying these things, it's also like not to the goal shouldn't be, I'm going to say shouldn't be binary in that, but like shouldn't be to feel better, but it should be to like kind of remain in these kind of three C's that I've been playing with, of like compassionate, curious, and connected, whatever that
Yeah.
connection looks like. And so it's like when I had this summer where I was like alone more and then less busy, not as much of a routine, it was definitely very hard. But then going through that, I learned so much more about myself, and then was able to better understand some of the root causes of my anxiety and how that is related to catastrophic worrying, anticipatory anxiety, and intrusive thoughts. And so when I can then focus on these things, then I can start to find a plan to heal me forward that is now helps me. But I need to make the changes and then sit through the transition and then potentially get to a place where I still don't say I feel better, but I feel more mindful, more demure.
Aligned, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So that's, it's like that's really what the goal can't be. I want this to end. The goal has to be, I want capacity to sit with what is in whatever moment you're in that time.
I think there's also like society, there's this thing that like finding a reframe to be like, I'm really busy doing less, or like I'm really busy saying no to things, or my hustle is coming from prioritizing my self-care or my protecting of my boundaries, or I am going to focus on this one project in my professional life, and then I'm also very busy and focused on my personal life working on this thing. And I think there's all this like I don't want to say spirituality, but this motivational mental health thing has become like popularized in a sense of like motivational speakers be like, if you only have 70 seasons of your life and you got to get up at 7 a.m. and hustle so that you can retire and be mindful later. And there's still all this like aggression of like, we're going to fucking meditate for 30 minutes, then we're going to go to the gym, and then we're going to eat healthy, and then we're going to be mindful, and then make some money, and then we're going to like, there's still this like intensity of not rest. Like there's still this pressure cooker of like, yes, we're being more mindful, but still in hustle culture. You know what I mean?
And also like not really listening to what your body actually wants or needs. Like you're kind of
give
just
the
driving the
body
car.
time.
Like you're kind of telling the body what it needs to do in order to
be mindful.
To be mindful, as opposed to just actually listening to the body and letting it tell you.
And that's the problem, I think, with like identity culture in like the hustler identity, social media identity. Everything becomes stagnant, and it means I have to show up in this way every damn time and be this way. And if I'm not that thing, then something must be wrong. And then let's not go down the rabbit hole of you're failing, or you're like, I need depression meds because I'm depressed because I'm not achieving.
And there's so many like ads now that are like, do you have anxiety? Do you feel like that you are not sleeping 8 hours a day? Do you feel as if there's like this blanket person that should be the ideal, and like there are, it's like, Taylor might need 5 hours of sleep to feel like a functioning adult. I need 7.5. And if I don't, and like neither one of us is wrong. It's just our makeup is different.
I think your makeup really is different too in life. but like I think the idea, it's like what you're saying, it's like to say I need this much sleep every, like that's not true either. It's like tonight tonight the choices I've made allow me to only have 5 hours of sleep, and that's going to be enough for me. And tomorrow I might get more, which is more ideal. Like all of those ways of just like, and I need to go to my. And I think maybe there are people who thrive in kind of that very structured environment. And don't get me wrong, I do love moments of certainty, but like you, Bronwynn, I feel like I need to balance it with uncertainty. I need to be able to, and the only way to do that is to sit in the moment, the moment in time, and like,
and know what you need.
And cancel plans. My God.
I mean, like Bronwynn can tell you like how many times that she'll ask me like, "What do you need?" And my answer is like, "I don't know. I don't haven't figured that out yet. I don't know. I'll know what I know. At this moment, I don't know."
And that's
okay.
Like, this place,
like I feel like we're always trying to find the answers so much, and it's like sometimes you can just not.
And the answers are always going to change. Like you might be like, even RJ, what you were saying, like one is continuously evolving with where they're at. And you need to constantly, just like how you expect a partner or a friend to relearn yourself over and over and over again as you change, you have to do that for yourself as well.
Sure.
And I think giving yourself permission to figure it out, and maybe fall is the time to do that, friends. Circling back to our topic,
Yeah.
like maybe the fall is, to relearn, and that's a tangent, but New Year's being in January, I think is such bullshit. Like, I
Yeah.
think of my September, my refresh into my next
Mhm.
cycle of
Yeah.
my business. Like, this is when I'm reflecting, like, what was working, what was not working,
Mhm.
and I think also New Year's resolutions are also bullshit. This is a whole other
Yeah.
episode, but like, I just,
So,
like, reflection is key, but like, fall is the time to plant your seeds and like turn inward and figure out who you are this season, and continuously stay curious about,
I mean, shit,
how
nature's
the next
doing it. The
month's
leaves
gonna
are
go.
falling.
yeah.
Yes, shed baby.
This
The
Shit.
bitch,
color.
this bitch,
Become vibrant and sit the fuck down.
Exactly. Yes.
yeah.
All
She
the
literally
season.
just, this bitch becomes fucking sticks. That's all she becomes. She loses her whole fucking, all her leaves and shit. She's chilling. She's not
And then
trying
she
to,
thrives.
and then she comes back with a vengeance. Like,
It's
listen
like,
to your
bitch,
body
Yes.
I'm here.
and
Hotter than
uniquely
ever.
how your body. And so I think shifting it into like some strategies for folks who are listening that'll help manage fall stress, I think it is like really do an inventory of who I am this season. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the that's both past, present, and future kind of all meet in that exploration. But take some time to journal out, like, okay, who have I been in the fall, and imagine what I enjoyed about that. But also, who am I now, and what do I enjoy about that? And then who do I want to be? And then in that kind of playing with three different, the beauty of being a human, and also the failure of being a human sometimes for those of us with anxiety, but it's to be able to sit in those three places. And I think when you can go and explore those three places, then you can start to find harmony in what you need to do. But it doesn't need to be done today in this moment. It doesn't need to be journaled. It could be a conversation with friends. It can be so nuanced, but take time to just sit in the curiosity and question the intent of it. Is it to just feel better, get to some goal, or is it about the reality that none of us really know what the fuck we're doing? We're just told stories and ideas. And so, how do I, in this moment, kind of work within that and just play the game, do the dance of fucking life?
Yeah. And how
Yeah.
are you going to show up just in the next couple months for
Yeah.
yourself, for others? Like, that's what I always just ask myself, a simple question: how do I want to show up?
Yeah.
And you
Mhm.
can decide. And then it's, the part two of that is like, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Was it
Mhm.
yourself? Was it your work? Was it your, and maybe that's where intuitively that's where your attention wants to be. And maybe you reflect on, how do you want to show up at work? How do you want to show up for yourself? Or if you're somebody that maybe prioritizes one or the other, maybe ask yourself, how do you want to show up on the one that you didn't think of first? But staying
Right.
curious, asking yourself those questions, and keep checking in. I'm finding that I want to pick a day, whether it's like near the end of the month or the beginning, where I just have at least 10 minutes to myself and I reflect, like, how the fuck is it going? How did it
Yeah.
go? How am I feeling right
Yeah.
now? And
Yeah.
this is like advice. This is just for me. It's on tape now. I'm gonna do this. Be right in the camera. I'm gonna fucking do this. I think it's a great idea. And so often we wake up, as I say, wake up in 3 months being like, "Ah, why am I feeling like this? And for how long?" When,
Yeah.
keep those check-ins.
Yeah.
Hold, ask a friend to hold you accountable. Set an alarm for in
Yeah.
15 days.
Yeah.
And,
Are we
I'll be
still
calling.
thriving, or am I surviving?
I'll be
yeah.
calling you in 15 days.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also think about like ask at like when you're doing these check-ins, like also like look at how do you want to feel? Like how do you
Yes.
feel?
How do you
And
want
like
to
when you go to
feel?
bed each night, like do you like what is your sentiments? Like are you feeling like, oh, gotta do another day? Then like maybe something needs to change, or maybe you need to look further into that, or like really push for the things of like, I want to feel good, follow the things that feel good. If something doesn't feel good when you're doing it, it's probably a no. And let it be
Uh-huh.
that instead of trying to be like, why? If it doesn't feel
Uh-huh.
good, it doesn't feel good. And if it does
No.
feel good, it feels good, you know?
Yeah. As an
And
adult, as a kid, I think you're like, what do I want? What do I want? And then the older you get, the more you're like, how do I want to feel?
Yeah.
Is really what it is.
Yeah.
And I love this little the medicine wheel check-in. For those of you who don't know what the medicine wheel is, well, that's for you to Google. But the medicine wheel is like super important and sacred for many indigenous nations. In Mi'kmaq, we actually have like the star, like a Mi'kmaq star. But point of this is that each of those 4 areas are like these 4 states of being, how we exist in this world, and we need to constantly be checking in. So like taking a piece of paper and writing, putting a plus sign and putting a circle around it. And then in each area, there's emotional, physical, spiritual, and mental. And then in each of those areas, just doing a little check-in with yourself and assessing from the center of the circle to the end on a scale of like 0 to 10, 0 to 100, where you are at in each area. And then in those areas, you can start to say, okay, this one's really high. So I'm feeling really good here. Why is it working? Okay, X, Y, Z. Great. Now this one seems like 2. Is there even one small step? If I'm struggling to connect into my spiritual component, I say creativity is the best way to get into it. So can I wake up in the morning and take like 2 minutes and write a poem? It doesn't have to be good. Or can I sing a song? Or can I just like free dance to, I don't know, Promiscuous Girl, Nelly Furtado. Always going to be that.
Yeah.
You know, what is that? That's, I think, is such an important visual way to see where you're at in balance within the world and within this. And so let's take it to our fans. We've got a lovely situation to close out today's episode. And
I
so
think
we've got to what?
I was going to say, I think what you just spoke about would probably answer this person's question.
You know what? You're effing right. We're going to close out our episode right now, each and every one of you beautiful people. I hope that these strategies, these ideas help you. I hope that you have an amazing fall. We hope that you're more equipped to handle the pressures of this season. And yeah.
Remember, it's important to be gentle with yourself during times of change, like the season, baby. You know, it's all good.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it all. Bronwynn, you don't have to do it all.
Yeah, repeat that one. I think we all should repeat that one. You don't have to
Yeah.
do it all, for myself
Repeat after
included.
me. Everybody on listening, we're going to do this on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. You don't
You don't have to do it
all.
all.
Yes.
Straight up.
We're going to start closing our episodes with affirmations that we can repeat.
Yes.
That's super
I
cute.
love
Coming
that.
soon.
I love that. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to follow us on social media and also engage with us all, like not just on the Glorious Mess account, but also individually. We'd all love to hear from you. Yeah, and take care of this fall stress coming and also the winter. Take care of our bodies.
Yes.
We'll be
and
here
we will
with you every step of the way.
Yay! Until next time, everyone. See you.